You are not broke. You are negative. There is a difference. Broke means you have nothing. Negative means someone else owns what you haven't earned yet, and they are very patient people. Level 1. The first debt. You are 18 years old. You walk into a bank for the first time as an adult. The person behind the desk is friendly. They offer you a card. They explain the limit. They do not explain the interest. They do not explain what compound means. They smile. You sign. You walk out feeling like an adult for the first time in your life. You spend $47 that afternoon on things you do not remember. You use it for small things: a dinner, a pair of shoes you didn't need, a gift for someone who barely noticed. The money doesn't feel real because you never had it to lose. At the end of the month, a bill arrives. You pay the minimum. The bank calls this a good sign. It is not a good sign. They never taught you this in school: how interest compounds, how a $200 balance becomes $340 if you only pay the minimum for 2 years, how the system is designed to keep you paying without ever making you feel like you're losing. You are losing. You just can't see it yet.
Level 2 pass. The juggle. A few years pass. You have a job now. You have rent. You have a student loan that started repayment 6 months ago. You have the credit card from before. The balance has grown in ways you haven't examined closely. And now your car needs a repair you cannot afford. You put it on a new card. You tell yourself this is temporary. Everyone in debt tells themselves it is temporary. You learn to perform financial stability. When friends suggest expensive restaurants, you say yes and figure it out later. When family asks how things are going, you say fine. You are not fine. But fine is a full-time job, and you are working it. You have learned something important. Debt is invisible to everyone except the person carrying it. You carry it everywhere. You carry it into every room. You carry it into your sleep. You miss a payment, not because you forgot, because you had to choose: rent or the card, groceries or the loan. You chose survival. The system does not care about your reasoning. It charges you a late fee, it raises your interest rate, it reports you. Your credit score drops 40 points overnight. You didn't know it could move that fast in the wrong direction.
Level 3. The spiral. You lose your job, not because you were bad at it, because the company restructured. You are given 2 weeks of severance and a form to sign. You sign it. You don't read it. You have been here before. Now your income is gone. The debt is not gone. The debt is never gone. It is the most reliable thing in your life right now. Without income, the minimum payments become impossible. The calls start, twice a day, then 3 times. You stop answering numbers you don't recognize. You stop checking your voicemail. You stop opening letters. You have created a system of deliberate blindness, because seeing it clearly is worse than not seeing it at all. This is not a solution. You know that. You do it anyway. The worst part of debt is not the money. It is the weight you carry into everything else. You go on a date and you are thinking about the bill before the food arrives. You apply for a job and you wonder if they check your credit. You look at your friends buying houses, getting married, taking trips, and you feel something that isn't quite envy. It's grief. You are grieving a version of your life that the debt is making impossible.
Level 4. The drowning.
You are behind on everything now. Not one thing. Everything. The calls have become letters. The letters have become collection notices. A number appears on your credit report that you don't recognize because the debt was sold to someone else. Your original debt is now owned by a company you have never heard of. You owe them, not because of anything you did to them, because debt is a product, and you are the inventory. You apply for a small personal loan to consolidate. Denied. You apply for a balance transfer card. Denied. Your credit is too damaged to borrow your way out of borrowing. The system that got you here will not help you out of here. You sit with that for a while. The math has no solution. The exits are closing. This is what drowning in debt actually feels like. Not dramatic, just quiet. Doors closing, one after another. Nobody tells you what debt does to your identity. You start to feel like you are the debt, like it is a definition. You apply for jobs and wonder if they'll see it. You avoid conversations about money. You build a version of yourself that takes up less space, makes fewer plans, wants fewer things. Because wanting things is painful when you can't have them. You become smaller. That is what debt does that the interest rate doesn't capture.
Level 5. The reckoning. Something happens. Maybe you hit a number that forces you to look. Maybe someone you trust says something that cuts through. Maybe you just get tired. Tired of carrying something in the dark. You sit down with all of it. Every number, every account, every balance. You write it down. All of it. The total is larger than you expected. You expected that. You still weren't ready. You call a nonprofit credit counselor. Not a debt relief scam, a real one. The person who answers is calm. They have heard your number before. They have heard larger numbers. They do not judge you. They explain your options in the tone of someone giving directions, not delivering a verdict. You cry on the phone. You didn't expect that. You had been holding it for so long that the moment someone spoke to you without judgment, you had nowhere left to put it. There is a plan now. Not a good plan. Not a fast plan. A plan that will take 4 years if everything goes right. You have never had a plan before. Only avoidance. A plan feels like solid ground after a long time treading water. You don't feel hope exactly. You feel something more useful than hope. You feel a direction.
Level 6, the rebuild. Nobody celebrates a debt payment. Nobody throws a party when your balance drops $200. You do not get a notification that says, "Well done." The progress is invisible to everyone except you. You pay extra on the smallest balance first. You cut things you liked. You stop going places that cost money. You cook every meal. You tell people you're busy when they invite you somewhere expensive. You are not busy. You are rebuilding. In private. Without applause. The rebuild costs things that aren't money. A relationship ends, partly because you can't afford the life they want. A friendship fades because you keep saying no. You miss a trip that you will hear about for years. You make peace with these losses one by one. This is the part that isn't in the financial advice columns. The loneliness of financial recovery. The quiet cost of choosing the plan over everything else. Year 3. Something changes. Not dramatically. The weight is different. You still have debt, but you have less of it. And for the first time in years, the direction is clear. Down. It is going down. You check the number and it is lower than last month, and lower than the month before that. Progress is a strange thing. You don't feel it while it's happening. Then one day you look back and realize you have walked a very long way.
Level 7. The other side. The last payment is anticlimactic. You make it on a Tuesday. Nothing happens. No confetti, no notification that changes your life. You close the app. You sit there. You have been carrying this for 4 years and 2 months, and now it is gone. The silence feels wrong at first. You have been so used to the weight that the absence of it feels like a mistake. You check the balance. 0. You check it again. Still 0. You are not who you were before. The person who walked into that bank at 18 and signed without reading is gone. That version of you doesn't exist anymore. You know things now that cannot be untaught. You know what compound interest does over time. You know what one missed payment costs. You know what debt does to identity, to relationships, to sleep, to the way you occupy a room. You are not grateful for the debt, but you are different because of it. That's not the same thing. Somewhere right now, an 18-year-old is walking into a bank for the first time as an adult. The person behind the desk is friendly. They are offering a card. They are explaining the limit. They are not explaining the interest. The 18-year-old is signing. They feel like an adult for the first time in their life. You cannot stop them. You couldn't have been stopped either. Some things can only be understood from the other side of them. Debt is one of those things. The number goes to 0, but 0 is not where the story ends. 0 is just where you finally get to start.